Hi everyone, my name is Allison Grosz. I'm an attorney and a partner with Hemrick O'Malley, PLLC in New York City. Today I want to talk about government shutdowns and specifically with the imminent government shutdown that is currently happening as of October 1st, 2025. I want to talk about how the government shutting down as of September 30th of any given year, which is the end of the government fiscal year, and when government shutdowns happen starting on October 1st of any given year, because this has happened several times over the last several years, I want to talk briefly about how this affects the immigration world. So let's begin with ICE, Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. Generally, ICE is considered essential, and what that means is that anyone who is an essential worker that's part of the government is not going to go onto something called furlough, which means that they will remain employed with the government, but not be employed during a government shutdown period. Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement, or ICE, is considered essential, and any other essential worker, including ICE in the United States, is not furloughed during government shutdowns. This also includes STEVIS processing for F1 student visas, because STEVIS is also considered essential, and therefore schools who maintain STEVIS need to maintain their program during a government shutdown operation. Moving on, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, or USCIS, is predominantly self-funded. For this reason, all the funding, or most of the funding for USCIS, comes from petitions and application fees. And for this reason, USCIS, who also, like I said, is self-funded, remains operational during government shutdowns. What this means is if you have any interview or any appearance before a USCIS office, that also includes having your fingerprints taken during this time, you can expect that there will be no effect of the government shutdown on your appointment that's scheduled with USCIS, unless and until you are given very explicit direction by USCIS related to your specific appointment. Going on to the next agency, the Executive Office for Immigration Review, which is also called the EOIR, or Immigration Court, as most people refer to it, is definitely affected by the government shutdown. Traditionally, the EOIR will close and will have to reschedule all court proceedings that are considered non-essential during a government shutdown period. The essential court is always considered anyone who is held in detention. So people who are detained will plan on continuing to have their scheduled court appearances and appointments. However, anybody who is not detained can expect that their hearing will likely be rescheduled during the government shutdown period. With regards to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, as it's often referred to, this is also considered essential. And so CBP, which is mostly at ports of entry, such as airports, are considered essential and will continue full operations during the government shutdown period. This means that most people will not have any issues with relation to coming in and out of the United States at Customs and Border at a port of entry. Similar to USCIS, the U.S. Department of State is also predominantly self-funded by fees that are collected for visa processing. And for this reason, most appointments that are at the State Department or at a consulate are also not affected by any government shutdown. However, those consulates that are funded by certain fees may be affected depending on if fees have been paid specifically for that consulate. So if you do have an appointment coming up with the Department of State at a specific consulate, you definitely want to check with that consulate to make sure that your appointment will not be affected, keeping in mind that most appointments are not affected who are through the Department of State. A couple more noteworthy agencies that may or may not be affected during a government shutdown include the Department of Labor and, of course, the federal court system. Let's talk about those. When it comes to the Department of Labor is affected by the government shutdowns, and specifically as it relates to immigration, this pertains to the permanent labor certification process, as well as LCAs that may be filed for certain visas. With this being said, you can expect the government shutdown to affect the processing of your perm or your LCAs, and so you can plan on there being a delay in those processes while the government shutdown remains pending during any given shutdown. Lastly, I want to talk about the federal courts. A lot of times the federal courts will hear an immigration case, specifically when it relates to the Federal Court of Appeals or the district courts. Now, these courts are affected by the government shutdown, and for this reason, because they are typically, not always, but typically typically considered non-essential, you are going to find that your federal litigation case that may be pending either before a federal district court or a circuit court of appeal will be delayed during a government shutdown, wherever it may be in the process as it's currently pending in litigation. With all of this being said, we here at Hemrick O'Malley are happy to answer any questions related to the current government shutdown that's happening and what you may be able to expect for your specific circumstances and immigration proceedings. You can find us online at hemrick.law, or you can call us at 833-848-7838. And until next time, I look forward to talking to everyone soon.